Hello, welcome back to our series of Ask the Archbishop. The question I want to address today came to us a few weeks back. How can people in the Archdiocese support and encourage vocations? Good question. I want to begin with a few thoughts about vocations. The word itself comes from the Latin root vocare, which means to call. So a vocation is quite literally a call. In this context, we recognize it as a call from God. The first thing we should appreciate is that everyone receives a call from God. The 5th chapter of the Vatican II document on the Church, Lumen Gentium, is entitled The Call to Holiness. That's what we are all called to be, holy. If you've noticed, the motto I chose for my coat of arms as a bishop is taken from St. Paul's first letter to the Thessalonians. What God wants is for you all to be holy. What we often refer to when we speak about vocations is really a second call from God. How does God want me to become holy? Has God given me the personal talents and gifts to become holy by being married to a spouse and raising children? Does God perhaps want me to become holy by a single life, dedicated to service and works of charity? Or is God calling me to embrace a more public religious life, say as a religious sister or deacon, priest or brother, a missionary or a monk? Let's keep these things in mind. We're all called to become holy, and that holiness will be expressed by the lifestyle that we embrace. So our question is, how can people in the Archdiocese support and encourage vocations? The questioner didn't specify religious vocations, but I'll assume that's what they meant. First of all, pray. In Matthew's Gospel, chapter 9, after spending the day teaching and healing many people, Jesus tells his followers, "Pray to the Lord of the harvest to send out laborers into his harvest." Each one of us can make a personal commitment to this prayer. In some parishes, I've known them to have a communal prayer for vocations, perhaps in the prayers of the faithful at Sunday Mass, or they may have a holy hour each week with adoration of the Blessed Sacrament, specifically to pray for religious vocations. I think it was G.K. Chesterton who said that there is more brought about by prayer than we would ever imagine. Secondly, encourage people you know, especially the young, to consider a religious vocation. You know, we often ask young people, what do you want to be when you grow up? I think a better question would be, what does God want you to be when you grow up? I'll bet many people never ask God that question. What do you want me to be, Lord? You tell me you love me. What do you think would bring me the most genuine happiness? One day a few years ago, a woman in a crowd put up her hand and told me that we should have more seminarians in our diocese like DJ. DJ was a seminarian working in her parish that year. I agreed with her that we should have more seminarians like DJ, but I followed it with a question. Where do seminarians like DJ come from? She didn't seem to know, so I said to the crowd, they come from Catholic families like yours. And have you ever suggested to your own children or grandchildren that God might be calling them to a religious vocation? No answer. Thirdly, if your child or grandchild or good friend ever tells you they're thinking God might be calling them to a religious vocation, don't discourage them. Many people have the unfounded impression that a religious vocation is a sad or unhappy life. It isn't for the person who is genuinely called. And before that person makes a definite commitment, there's a lot of prayer and discernment that takes place. One priest in my community made the comment years ago, half in jest but all in earnest, if people knew what our life is really like, they'd be breaking down the doors to get in. So these are my thoughts on the matter. What can we do to encourage vocations? Prayer, encouragement, and support. We cannot make religious vocations. It's God's task to do the calling, and it's up to each of us in personal freedom to respond. Thank you for listening once again. The next several weeks are busy ones for me. I may have to do some traveling, so this series may seem spotty at times. Stay tuned nonetheless, and I look forward to receiving more of your questions. Until next time.